A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Hello, Buckeye Nation. We are finally here, your college football playoff national championship game preview. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton. Gentlemen, the end of the college football season is very close to upon us, and the Buckeyes have a chance to play for a national championship. How are you guys doing today?
Man, didn't think we'd be here at the beginning or at the end of the season. Didn't think we'd be here. Definitely was a projection for us at the early part of the season, but yeah, very excited for Monday night.
Yeah, man. It's just kind of a surreal feeling. I'm wishing that the game was, ASAP, but of course, got to wait until Monday night, which is kind of annoying because, normal people work on Tuesday morning. So it's like, game's fine. It says 7:30. That game ain't starting until 8 o'clock. But
Yeah.
no, man, it's a pretty good feeling. Great position for us to be in right now. And like you said, Jordan, at the end of how the regular season ended, I wasn't quite sure if we'd be here, but here we are.
If you guys want to go to the game, lowest ticket prices for nosebleeds are currently $1,800.
Sure.
So
take on a second mortgage on my house.
Yeah,
literally
down there.
Just absolute crazy prices. Of course, there's plenty to talk about, but before we get to any of it, just be sure take a quick second, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Again, the show is available on not only YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts on audio. We know a lot of people have been streaming us on the audio platform, so appreciate that. Also, if you do listen on audio, just take a quick second. It takes 30 seconds. Give us a 5-star review. We really would appreciate that support. And, of course, the Scarlet and Gray Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Wedgewood Estates, 600 South Trimble Road in Mansfield, locally family-owned and operated for 27 years. Wedgewood Estates, the area's premier senior residential community. Find out more at wedgewoodseniorliving.com. That's wedgewoodseniorliving.com. The link will be in the description for you to check them out. Gentlemen, before we get to the actual game, Ohio State has decided to announce the uniforms they are going to wear. And I know everyone has seen them, but for anyone that is checking out the game day preview, always good to give them a little bit more love once again. But here are the uniforms Ohio State will be rocking in the national championship game, bringing back the gray sleeves a little bit. You got, if you look very closely, you can see the Nike symbol is gold on the jersey too. Just looks really clean. But I've had a lot of fans actually ask us this, so I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Do you think the gray sleeves should be permanent on the jerseys on home and away? Or do you like the black?
I like the black for regular season. I think the way they bring them out for these big games at the end of the year, I think is just chef's kiss. It's kind of like a throwback, and it reminds me of the old days of like AJ Hawk and the 2002 team rocking them in the national championship. So I think bringing them back for the bowl games and the playoffs is a pretty good move by the team.
Yeah, I agree, dude. It looks so good. I mean, it just looks really clean. But yeah, I mean, bringing them out for the special occasions definitely makes them unique and makes it a little bit, a little special. So, no, I like the black for the regular season, but yeah, the gray sleeves is definitely, like you said, Jordan, the chef's kiss for this uniform.
Yeah, it looks so good. I'll admit sometimes, like after we haven't seen these uniforms for a little while, once you see it, it's like, man, I kind of wish we would bring it back. But at the same time, if you bring them back in the college football playoff, just moving forward, just making this a thing, sign me up for that, because as long as you're incorporating them in some way, I just think is very important. So it is good to see that they are bringing back a classic ultimately, and I'll admit too, the little bit of gold there
The gold
looks
is
really good. The gold looks
pops,
nice.
dude. Yeah, I like the little details they do for the championship game now. It's a little extra, little accents make the jerseys really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Okay, so looking at both these teams, Ohio State's coming in this game, honestly, about as healthy as you possibly can be at this point in the season. Seth McLaughlin, of course, will not play. Josh Simmons will not play. No injury surprises there for the Buckeyes. On the Notre Dame side of things, Notre Dame is looks like wide receiver Bo Collins is questionable in this game. Whether or not, I mean, he plays and has an impact, that's a whole other thing. I mean, he only has 37 catches, 458 yards, 3 touchdowns this year. Notre Dame does not throw it around a lot. They really don't. More of a running team. The big loss, though, I think, for the Fighting Irish, they are going to be without starting offensive tackle Anthony Knapp in this game. I think that's a major loss for Notre Dame. But it looks like they're either going to have a senior start or a redshirt freshman. As of right now, we don't really know who's going to start. But losing Knapp, that's a huge loss. And then the other big injury for the Fighting Irish, Rocco Spindler. He's been rumored to have an injury. It looks like he was injured against Penn State, but it sounds like he is now off the injury report for the national championship game. So he will be playing. Whether or not he's 100% remains to be seen. And then, of course, the big one, running back Jeremiah Love. He is still battling a knee injury, but of course he is going to play in this game. Now, whether, again, he's 100%, he hasn't been 100% pretty much, I want to say, since the second half of the season began. So he's been battling a knee injury. He's played well, even though his reps have been limited a little bit. But looking at the injuries, guys, would we agree? I think on the offensive line is kind of the biggest thing for Notre Dame right now. But what do you guys expect to see from Jeremiah Love? Do you think he's going to be limited again a little bit? I mean, he has throughout the entire playoff. You can see it. He's got a huge knee brace on, which does affect his top line speed. But do you expect him to be limited? Do you think he'll end up being full go? What do you expect from the Irish running back?
It's a national championship game, so I'm sure if he's even 70%, I bet you he'll get the bulk of the carries still out of the backfield. I can't imagine a guy like him is going to, especially after the Junkies talked, saying that he wants to, he wanted to play Ohio State and he wants to beat the best. Well, you get him, dude. So I think, Jeremiah Love, obviously, he's a great back. But yeah, he'll probably, I'd imagine he'll still get the bulk of the carries, him and Riley Leonard both.
Yeah, I think also working in some carries to Price, Jadarian Price. He's, their second leading rusher this year. Third behind Riley Leonard, but they do give him the ball quite a bit. He's got over 100 carries this year, and they like using both those backs. So I don't think Jeremiah Love's injury is going to affect him too much. I mean, you saw him play in the Penn State game, and he had the best 2-yard run you'll ever see. Just hurdling people, breaking tackles, and doing the things he's been doing all season. So I don't expect anything less out of their running backs. I think that, like you said, it's kind of the strength of their offense, and that's what they're going to lean on in this game for sure.
I think looking at Jeremiah Love, he has not had more than 12 carries this entire college football playoff. So, of course he is going to play, but I am really curious to see how much he is limited, because clearly, if you're not getting more than 12 carries, clearly that knee is bothering him a little bit. Like you said, Nick, he's of course going to play in the national championship, but I do wonder how much he will play. I'm expecting 10 carries, total touches, maybe 15, unless he just surprises us all and is able to handle more than that. He really, outside the Indiana game, has not had a huge.
Lost him.
Are we going to have to restart recording? We're definitely going to have to restart.
Got disconnected. Wow, that's fun. Anyway, apologies. Jeremiah Love has not really had the massive impact in this college football playoff. You mentioned that run, JD. I mean, it was fantastic. Yeah, it is the best 2-yard run I'll ever see. But from just a statistical standpoint, he really, outside the Indiana game, has not had a huge impact for Notre Dame. Now, again, when he's on the field, it is someone you have to account for, of course. But where I'm really looking is Riley Leonard. He's led them in rushing against Georgia. He's getting the bulk of the carries right now, and he is the quarterback. So what I'm really curious about in this game, at least for me, I want your guys' thoughts as well. Does Riley Leonard start to wear down a little bit? Now, I know he's a guy who runs a lot. That's what he does. He leads the Irish in carries.
Mm-hmm.
He's 167 carries for Notre Dame, which is, I mean, when you think about it, that's incredible for a quarterback, especially when you don't come from a triple option style offense. So, I mean, I don't know. It makes you wonder because if you look at his stats at Duke, now, again, he was battling injury. He only had 58 carries last year. And then his sophomore year, he had 124. I mean, this is the most carries he's ever had in a season. If you're Ohio State, do you think the Buckeyes can wear down Riley Leonard, or is it just a case of he's been doing it all year a little bit? So, I mean, ultimately, he's probably still going to at least get his yardage. You just have to make sure that you do your best to contain him as much as possible.
I mean, dude, the way this team's been hitting, I don't know how much he's going to want to run the ball in this game, to be honest. You know, I mean, we saw what we did to freaking Nico against Tennessee, cracked his helmet first play of the game. Now, that could have been because of the weather. It was cold. You know, that stuff happens. But the way this Buckeye team's been hitting, I don't know how much he's going to want to run the ball. And if he does run it a lot early, I don't think we'll be seeing it a whole lot in the second half. I think he's going to wear down the physicality of this game. Like we've talked about off air. I mean, it's probably going to be a fist fight. At least that's what Notre Dame's going to want it to be. But I think the Buckeye defense is going to be too much, and he's going to start to wear down later on in this game.
Yeah, I think Riley Leonard's not like an uber athlete or anything. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Jalen Milroe. He's not a guy that's going to, make a bunch of guys miss, and you really have to key on him just because he's going to get a lot of carries, and he can run the ball effectively. He averages over 5 yards a carry. But I think our defense, just with the speed and the way the D-line's been playing, I think that they're definitely going to key on it, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a factor in this game as it has been for Notre Dame in the playoffs coming in. So not super worried about his rushing ability. It is going to be how much they are going to want to run him though in this game. And at some point, I think Ohio State's going to effectively stop that run game. It's like, at one point, are they going to try to take a shot or press the corners? So it'll be an interesting cat and mouse game for sure.
I think with Riley Leonard, again, the reason I bring this up is for a guy who already is by far surpassed his career high in carries. This guy is injury prone. I mean, he had ankle surgery this offseason. It's the same ankle that he injured at Duke. It just makes you wonder a little bit. And of course, you're playing more games than you ever have in your entire career with the new college football playoff. Just makes you wonder if his body, again, I know it's one more game, and it's a national championship. I understand it, but you're going against the best defense you played all year. And he has not thrown consistently look at the playoff. He's barely throwing for 200 yards. I mean, he threw for 90 against Georgia, which is wild to think about that they still won that game. He threw for 200 against Indiana, threw for 223 against Penn State, but he's thrown multiple interceptions in every game except the Georgia game. And again, he only threw for 90 yards. So I think the game plan is very simple. Make Riley Leonard beat you with his arm. And if he can do it, he can do it. Do you guys think Riley Leonard can do enough to keep Ohio State's defense from keying on the run?
No.
I don't. They're going to have to take a shot just to break up the game plan, I guess, that they're going to have coming in. It's a pretty one-dimensional offense for Notre Dame. in terms of what they want to get done. They can throw the ball. Riley Leonard is a serviceable thrower of the football, but I don't think his running ability is going to affect us in a play action sense. That I don't think the defense is going to be keying so hard that they're going to leave guys wide open deep.
Yeah. No, I don't think I think Riley Leonard early might be able to get some throws because he might be keen on the run a little bit, but I don't see him. If Riley Leonard is passing for 300 yards and that's the reason you lose, it's an outlier because he hasn't done it all year. So you live with it. If somehow, some way, as frustrating as it would be, if they beat you and Riley Leonard throws for over 300, so be it, because it's an outlier. The odds are very slim. So one thing that I've noticed with this team, when you guys look at a Marcus Freeman-led team, we see a lot of similarities to Jim Tressel. What do you guys think? The toughness of his teams. He's led by the ground game. He has a serviceable quarterback, not necessarily a guy that's going to necessarily dominate you athletically, but a guy that is just going to manage the game, normally not turn the ball over, and be able to make a couple plays in the passing game when it matters. When you see Marcus Freeman and this Irish team, what are the things that kind of stick out most to you?
For me, special teams. They are a tremendous special team. The only real hiccup they have is their kicking game, but Mitch Jeter's been perfect in the playoff. I think that's his name, Mitch Jeter.
Yeah.
He had the game winner against Penn State, and they've had an insane number of blocked punts and big plays in the punt game this year. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on and know coming in that they're going to pull out all the stops on special teams. So you just have to be well aware when their punt team comes out, their field goal unit comes out, offense and defense. You got to be aware that something might be coming, a rush for a block, a fake punt. All cards are going to be on the table for this game. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, like you said, TJ, the toughness and the way that they play the game. They try not to make mistakes, and they try not to lose the football game. And it's been really successful for them in this playoff. They're not a super aggressive football team, but they are very sound in what they do on both sides of the football. And like you said, it's a very, very similar to a Jim Tressel coach team, which Marcus Freeman, played for Jim Tressel and actually had his first coaching job as a graduate assistant under Jim Tressel. So very similar styles, and you can see that reflected in the way that he interacts with his players and then ultimately how that team performs on the field.
Yeah. You summed it up perfectly. Nick, anything to add? Okay.
No, I think he hit it. Tough, physical. They're gonna, like I said, man, they're gonna want to muck this game up. Because I think they realize that they don't have the speed outside to keep up. So this game cannot become a track meet for them. So we know that they're gonna try to muck it up. You saw the Georgia game. That's a prime example, dude. They mucked it up. It wasn't a very entertaining game to watch. It was just physical, low scoring. Penn State game, little similar. Obviously they went back and forth there in the second half, which was pretty fun to watch. But they just really they don't have the speed outside to keep up. So they really have to rely on the physicality and just kind of time of possession is going to be big in this game for them. If they can keep that Ohio State offense off the field, that's going to be the key.
Yeah, exactly.
They know they cannot score 30 to 40 points in this game.
Especially with the way the defense is played for Ohio State. Especially.
And so some interesting statistics here. So when you're looking at Notre Dame, their passing game, so Riley Leonard has one of the lowest passing grades under pressure and when he's not blitzed. And Ohio State, third in the country with around a 41% pressure rate. And Notre Dame is better in the run blocking compared to pass pro. So 11 of 16 of Riley Leonard's big throws have come outside the numbers looking for one-on-one battles with corners. that screams that they're going to attack Denzel Burke, Davison Igmanosin, try and get a pass interference call going their way. So that is going to be something to watch there. And then you kind of look at the run game a little bit. They, of course, are built on the run, but they are only averaging in the college football playoff 3.3 yards per carry.
That's
3.3.
That's pretty low.
I mean, and it's been all, I mean, okay, this isn't here to say that Jeremiah Love has not had an impact, because he has. Riley Leonard's been their guy on the ground this entire college football playoff. And so you almost wonder, do you attack this guys the way that you attacked Oregon? What I mean by that, do you put a spy on Riley Leonard like you did with Dylan Gabriel? Again, two different body types, but would you attack them the same way that you attacked Oregon, or are there a couple things, if you're Jim Knowles, that you might switch up a little bit there?
I mean, I'd probably just spy him, because I think, I mean, obviously Oregon's outside threats to Notre Dame's outside threats. Oregon's got that one, and I thought Ohio State's corners played really well against Oregon because of the pressure that was on Dylan Gabriel all game long. So, and that's been the recipe. I mean, these first three games, we've been bringing a lot of pressure. Jim Knowles has been cooking up a lot of pressure, but also our D linemen have been winning their one-on-one matchups with these tackles. So, I mean, I think you just got to roll with your gut and obviously limit Riley Leonard as much as you can in the ground game. And like you said, if he throws for 300 and you lose, I mean, that's all you can really, you can only hope that he has to try to throw the ball 40 times in this game and see what happens.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that. And that's kind of like you said, if you have him throwing that many times, you're in good shape. You're 100% in good shape if you're getting Riley Leonard to throw the football that many times. He's only completing 66% of his passes, averaging 7 yards per attempt. They're not.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I wish.
The big thing. Go, Jordan, dang it.
I was just going to say, I wonder how much of Riley Leonard's runs are designed runs. Like, I wish I had that statistic. Like, how much of him getting that yards on the ground is him breaking contain and getting outside and scrambling for yards. Because if it's mostly designed runs, you're on passing downs, you're not going to be as worried of him getting out and scrambling and getting those first downs if your defensive line has been playing like it's been playing. So I think that kind of goes into it a little bit, but I don't think they're going to mess with the formula of what they've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and I just think first down is going to be so critical. If you can get Notre Dame behind the sticks on first down, you get them in the backfield for a loss of 2, loss of 1 even, or just meeting them at the line of scrimmage. I think first down is going to be so critical to the success of the defense, because I feel like a lot of Notre Dame's formula is that they want to get 3-4 yards on first and second down, then it's third and short. They can run it again with like a QB power, QB zone. They can hit something short, something quick. So, I mean, just first down is going to be so critical of just stopping them before they can get any momentum going.
I think this game's going to play out a lot like the Penn State game because of that reason. Penn State has a very similar style, and I think that's why they matched up so well when they played. Mm-hmm. It's a very run heavy 2-back system. You have a quarterback that can make throws, extend plays with his legs. And then you have a really solid defense on the other side that doesn't give up a lot of points. So I think that's why they matched up so well with Penn State. And I think that's kind of going to be coming into this game. Ohio State's kind of already played this game against Penn State. So I think we have an advantage there just because of, the style of team we're playing. I think Texas last week was our best matchup position by position. I think they matched up the best out of any team in the country. I think Oregon the first week was kind of a fluke. The first time we played Oregon, and I think we really exposed Oregon in that second matchup. So I definitely see it playing out more like the Penn State game.
Yeah, no, I could absolutely see that. And you bring up a good point with Riley Leonard. So far, watching him in the playoff, to me, and again, I mean, if I miss a snap here or there, then I did. To me, it looks like they are legit design runs. It is him. Looks like he's going to drop back, or he's just straight up going QB power right away. I mean, that's what it seems like to me, at least. And a lot of times, it seems like the defense almost knows it's coming because, again, he's been the guy that's running the ball for him. And the other thing I've noticed too, some quarterback runs, depending on how much speed the guy has at the position, you'll try and quarterback sweep, maybe get to the outside, especially like you would do kind of JD, like you said, with a guy like Jalen Milroe or a more athletic guy. Riley Leonard's just a power guy. That's really, I mean, he's got a little bit. Don't get me wrong, like he's not slow, but he's not a guy that normally you're going to expect to run outside the tackles and just be gone. I mean, he's a guy that's gonna hit you, and that's why it makes me wonder. Like a game like this, he had a tough game against Penn State. I mean, that dude took some hits, and now you're talking about going from Penn State to Ohio State, which has the best defense in the country. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to watch there. And now I kind of want to turn to the Ohio State offense. So Nick, you hit on it a lot in the last episode. For those who haven't checked it out, it's on the YouTube channel. And Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Nick, you hit on it, though. Will Howard throwing in some tight windows. One thing that Notre Dame loves to do, and they do it more than anybody, is run man coverage. About 60% of the time, they're in man coverage in this game, and they have been pretty blunt. Their players have been pretty blunt that we're not going to switch things up. And the reason teams struggle with Ohio State is they switch things up compared to what they're comfortable with, and they end up losing. And they said we're going to do what we've done all season, and it works. Notre Dame is first in interceptions, first in incompletions in the country, winning man coverage. So how does this Ohio State offense, how do you think they match up compared to this Notre Dame defense that we're going to see on Monday night?
I think they match up really well. I mean, you're talking about – I think we saw Texas – play a lot of zone, and they were able to take Jeremiah Smith out of the game, but you saw Mecca Buka and Carnell Tate still have an impact. If Notre Dame's gonna man up, like good luck. Because even if you put your best corner on Jeremiah Smith, you're still gonna be one-on-one with a Mecca Buka, or you're still gonna be one-on-one with Carnell Tate, or you're one-on-one with Jeremiah Smith and he's gonna make a play. So I think it's advantageous for Ohio State. I think we kind of saw the same story with Oregon coming out and saying they were going to play man, and we kind of saw what happened early in that game. And if they're going to roll the dice and do that, you can bet Chip Kelly's going to have some plays dialed up to free up a guy across the middle on the mesh route, or a high-low concept or something to get those guys open early. And we'll see what happens. I think it's a pretty favorable scenario for Ohio State if they decide to play man.
I think it's going to be really important that Will Howard doesn't try to force feed anybody. That's going to be the big thing, because in that Texas game, the picky threw. We knew the whole time he was eyeing him down the whole time. We knew where the ball was going. I think it's going to be critical that he just has to trust himself, get through his progressions. If the first read isn't there, which, to be fair, all season long, he's been really good at kind of getting the ball out quick, seeing his options right away. So, especially against man coverage, if our guys can win at the line of scrimmage, it's going to be a long night for Notre Dame. They're number one in interceptions for a reason. They make plays on the ball when it's in the air. But also, on the other hand, Notre Dame has not seen a receiving core like Ohio State yet this season. So it's just it should be a good matchup in theory, but I think our weapons outside are going to be too much. And even if they aren't, you got to find a way to get the running backs involved early too. So that way it just sets up play action later down the road. Then you can hit on a deep crosser to Jeremiah Smith off a naked bootleg like we did against Oregon. It's little things like that Chip Kelly, I'm sure, is going to have schemed up, and he's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, the reason I was asking you guys that is because keep in mind, again, different team, but different quarterback and whatnot. But Notre Dame, one thing they did well last year, they shut down Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, they really did. Like they Buckeyes went to South Bend, and he only had 32 yards. So I am really curious to see how they end up matching up, because again, Emeka Buka had a great game last year, but really that was it. It was Emeka and it was Cade Stover. That was it in the passing game.
I will say the Marvin Harrison thing. I think Jeremiah Smith is a lot more physical than Marvin ever was. So I think there's a big difference there. Marvin was a really good route runner. He was really good at creating separation. But I think Jeremiah is a completely different animal. I really do. He's just so physical at the point of attack. His hands are massive. I don't know if you saw that video I sent you guys with Holly Rowe. His hands are it's unreal. His hands are massive. So, I don't know. I feel like I trust him in any 50-50 situation on the football field, but you just can't get in the habit of just throwing it up there and praying that he comes down with it.
I agree. Yeah, Will Howard's got to be smart in this game. I'm expecting the typical Will Howard to come up amped up. I bet early he might have a couple incompletions. We're like, bro, how do you do that, bro? But you know what? He's going to be ready to go. It looks like he said his hand's good to go. He said he popped the blood vessel, didn't feel it.
Ooh, that's gnarly.
So, yeah, because he was asked about it. He said, oh, yeah, good to go. I popped the blood vessel, and that was it. And they're like, did you feel any pain? No. Just popped it and moved on. So, like, all right.
Yeah, brother.
like, okay, all right. So some keys to the game here. So on the offensive side of the ball, what do you think the big keys are in order to attack this Notre Dame defense and ultimately pull away? Because, again, we're expecting this probably be close first half, and then, of course, Buckeyes really start to wear them down and pull away in the second half.
Get 32 the ball. That's like my only key to the game is get 32 to the ball. Good things happen when Travion Henderson has the ball in his hands. Yep. So I think, again, that's been the recipe. Travion's your home run hitter. Quinshon's your power guy in between the tackles, getting you those first downs, getting you those touchdowns in the red zone. I think the recipe remains the same. Get your running backs involved. Quinshon came here for a reason. He came here to win a national championship game. Now's the time to buck up or shut up, right? So I think you got to be physical early. You run the ball. I know that's been the saying. We're going to run the ball. I think it stays true. We're going to run the ball in this football game. It's going to set up the pass a lot more than I think we'd like to. I think we're going to run the ball more early than just kind of set the tone. But, yeah, get Travion the ball. That's it. That's the recipe.
Love it.
I like it. Yeah. For me, I think that this kind of rang true with the Texas game, and I can see this game's kind of playing out the same way. It's maximizing your opportunities to score. I think we left a lot of points on the table against Texas with, penalties and different things where we kept Texas in the game. And so for me, it's just maximizing those opportunities and not turning the ball over, because I think if we're able to control time of possession, we're able to score efficiently, I don't think Notre Dame will be able to hang if we can put up a large amount of points like we did in the first two games of the playoff.
Yeah, dude, I agree with that. I really do. I think going back to what Nick said, dude, Travion Henderson needs more than 7 touches. Okay, like come on, man. This is it. Like, there is no next game. This is your last game as a Buckeye, dude. Get him the football. Or put him and Quinshon on the field together more than you ever have this year, because clearly it causes problems for a defense. So I want to see maybe a little bit of trickeration from Chip Kelly in this game. Dude, empty the clip. This is it. Jack Sawyer, this is it. Will Howard, this is it. Travion, Emeka. Dude, like, I really want this team to not be conservative. And dude, I want aggression. Like, I truly want to see Ryan Day be more aggressive than we've ever seen him. Truly, I want to see that. I don't want to see. Now, if we run it a little bit to start, sure, okay. But if we get in the second and third quarter and we're just running it up in the middle, first and second down, I'm telling you, I'm gonna lose my mind. And this is it. Like, there is no reason to hold anything back. There is no next week. This is it. Like, your legacy as a Buckeye is on the line in this game for a lot of these players. and a lot of these seniors that have never won a Big Ten championship, that have never beaten Michigan, this is it. So I need to see the coaching staff play this game the same way. This could be it for some of them. You don't know. Like, we don't know what's in store for some of the members on this coaching staff. So empty it out, man. Be aggressive. Don't hold back. Be composed first and foremost, because I will say that about Notre Dame, and Nick, you brought it up. Either Nick or JD, one of you brought it up. They're coached well, and Notre Dame does not beat themselves. They're not going to commit a ton of penalties. You cannot have a first half of penalties like you did against Texas. You don't want to give Notre Dame that many bites at the apple, because the one thing that Notre Dame is going to do, Notre Dame is going to stick with their game plan if it's close. And the one thing they do well is they wear down defenses. Ohio State does have depth, but Notre Dame can wear you down. They did it against Georgia. They did it against Penn State. It's the one thing that they can start to do. So don't give them more bites at the apple. That's just not, of course, that's just going to hurt you. But yeah, man, just be aggressive. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think we can all agree on this. And of course, feel free to add anything else. Defensive side of the ball, it's simple. Make Riley Leonard beat you with his arm, because I do not believe he can do that. So that's where I'm at least at this point. Anything else you guys want to add before we talk spread? And of course, as sad as it is, predict our last Buckeye game of the year. Of the season, my bad.
Yeah, just like a couple little footnotes here. The last time Notre Dame has beaten Ohio State was 1936. So,
jeez, that is.
Haven't they only played like 7 times?
Yeah, they don't play a ton,
which is kind of crazy with them being so close.
They're also kind of like rivals in a way, just because of everything that goes into these fan bases, the location of the schools. They're not far. So this is kind of a rivalry game, not in like the sense that we play them every year, but these two schools really don't like each other that much. So yeah, Notre Dame's last national championship was under what head coach? You guys know?
Brian Kelly.
It wasn't Tyrone Whittingham, I don't believe.
It was in the 1980s.
No. Good luck, TJ.
1980s.
TJ, you're gonna.
Is he a Hall of Fame head coach? Give me that.
Oh yeah, yes, Hall of Fame head coach.
He's a Hall of Fame head coach.
Yes.
NFL head coach.
Yes, Hall of Fame.
Nah, I was gonna say Don Shula, but that's not even close. I don't know.
No, it's Lou Holtz.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
See, that tells you. I just don't care about Lou Holtz. So.
and to note, they have not squashed their beef. Ryan Day and Lou Holtz have not squashed that beef.
Lou Holtz will be there apparently.
In a wheelchair, I'm sure.
Yeah. So those are some fun little stats. So they haven't won. Their last national championship appearance was the year before Ohio State's last national championship appearance. They lost. They lost to Alabama, and then the next year we beat Oregon after beating Alabama in the 14 playoffs. So a little bit of fun, little history there. And yeah, excited to give my prediction here.
Manti Te'o will be there with his girlfriend, I'm sure. The spread in this game has actually changed. It's moved a little bit, actually. Originally, it was Ohio State minus 9.5. It's now Ohio State minus 8.5. So whoever wants to go first, do the Buckeyes cover the spread, and then prediction of the 2024 Ohio State football season.
Buckeyes win this one. Huge. 45-17. And they are your 2025 national champions.
I'm kind of going away from the blowout. I think it's going to be close. I think they cover, but it's only going to be a 10-point game. I'm thinking 27-17.
Man, that's a Notre Dame game right there. Jeez. I do believe Buckeyes are going to cover, but I thought we were going to – I believe I picked us to blow out Texas. I can't remember what I predicted for that game. But I'm going to go a little bit more conservative here because I want to be wrong and I want Nick to be right and us just absolutely destroy him so I don't have to be stressed out the entire 3 hours of this game. I'm going to go Ohio State 34, Notre Dame 24 in this game. The Ohio State's going to cover it.
Dude, no way Notre Dame scores that many points.
You don't think? You don't think they scored 24?
Dude. No way. I don't see it. But who knows? I mean, it's the national championship game. Anything happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know. I mean, I'm still gonna go with it. I want reverse psychology here to be in effect and just Ohio State blows them out of the water and Nick be right. And again, we don't have to be stressed out. We can start celebrating at halftime, hopefully, and that's the dream at least. But guys, it's kind of crazy. The season comes to an end. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up our last kind of sad, our last game day preview of the 2024 season?
Go Buckeyes.
Leave it all on the field. Hold nothing back. Show no mercy. Just bludgeon them.
Yeah. You know, Jack Sawyer and all the returning seniors, you guys remember what that slogan was that they all said, at least in their announcement or their video? You guys remember it? Reload the clip. Reload the clip. Now it's time to empty the clip. Empty the clip against Notre Dame. Let's become national champions. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Like the video if you have not done so already. The show is available Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate everyone's tuned into the game day previews this year. You guys have absolutely blown them up this year. So first off, thank you guys that have tuned into all of them this year. I know a lot of you have. So thank you so much for that support. And just as a reminder, the show, we will be continuing still to do a weekly episode, which we'll talk about just kind of different topics. We'll probably recap the entire season after the national championship, recap that a little bit, talk about some of the transfer additions the Buckeyes have and impacts they could have. Maybe we'll have some position debates, like historical position debates at Ohio State, quarterbacks, running backs. That could be a fun little episode. If you guys have any suggestions on content you kind of want to see this offseason, be sure leave us a comment or tweet at us, and we'd be more than happy to discuss those. But before we wrap things up, just as a reminder, the Scarlet and Gray podcast is proud to be brought to you by Wedgewood Estates, 600 South Trimble Road, Mansfield, locally family owned and operated for 27 years. Wedgewood Estates, the area's premier senior residential community. Find out more at wedgwoodseniorliving.com. That's wedgwoodseniorliving.com. Link in the description for you guys to check them out. Well, Buckeye Nation, this is it. Thank you for tuning in this episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. We will talk to you guys all again soon. As always, go Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
Clip, baby. Yeah, Nate.